Okay. So, what's the greatest mystery in history? If you had one question that you could ask, what would it be? When is Mashiach coming? Perfect. That's it. You hit it. That's the answer. Okay, so when is Mashiach coming? It's gonna change. It's gonna change. It's gonna change in the most amazing way. When Mashiach comes, we're gonna see the truth. We're gonna see that all the gashmias and physical things are not the most important. And we're gonna desire, we're gonna want to just learn Torah and do mitzvahs and connect to Hashem. It's gonna be, right now, the connection to Hashem and the holiness, it's in the books. And the world around us, everything is a distraction. When Mashiach comes, it's gonna be reversed. That what's gonna be open and revealed is Hashem, and everything else is going to be we're going to see that the whole purpose of it is only to serve Hashem. We're not going to have to run after physical things for physical pleasure. It's hard to imagine.
We'll be able to look at this battle of orange juice and see
godliness. Yeah. See the spark and see how it's connected to Hashem. And we're going to, and not just us, but the whole world is going to recognize the truth. All the terrorists will recognize the Jewish people, Israel, our right to exist, and they're, it's going to be so clear. There won't be no one will contest it, and they're all the swords and all the missiles and everything will all. It says in the Navi, it will all be turned. All the swords will be turned into plowshares instead of having things that destroy. Everything will be used to build and to grow. So it's for us. There's a joke. There's a joke that the man comes home from shul and he tells his wife, the rabbi just spoke in shul and he said that Mashiach's going to come. We're all going to move to Israel. And what's going to be? We just bought a new house. We just furnished the whole house. And what's going to be? So the wife says, we survived this pogrom and that pogrom. We'll survive Mashiach too. It's a sad joke. But we are compared to a little baby that's literally born in the dungeon. In the olden days, if a person couldn't pay their rent to the pirates, they were thrown into the dungeon. And then what happened? Every single day, a basket came from the top with a little bit of bread and water. So for a child that was born in the dungeon, they don't know anything other than bread and water coming down from the basket. That's the highlight of the day. They have no idea that there's a sun, there's a moon, there's clouds, there's a sky, there's grass. So our vision is so limited. I'm like, no, we want to just hold on to, the physical pleasures, the bread, the water. Don't give me anything else. I'm happy the way I am, but we have no idea the what's to come, what's waiting for us. And our great tzaddikim, they did see it. And Yaakov Avinu did see it. And that's why they tried to encourage us so much to do what we can to get there. And we're going to learn why it's so hard for us. And what they saw, and what they wanted us to see, and what we see and what we don't see. This is what we're gonna talk about. So in Parshas Vayechi, what happens? Yaakov Avinu is about to pass away, and he gathers the 12 Shvatim, and he wants to reveal to them the time of Mashiach's coming, the time of the end of days. And he's about to do it, and all of a sudden, the divine presence leaves him. And he realizes that Hashem doesn't want him to tell. And he doesn't tell. Okay, so I'm going to use, it is very intricate, so I'm going to just use this poem just as my notes. Okay, before Yaakov passed away, he called to his sons and did say, what will happen in the end of days, I will tell you. But from him, the divine presence withdrew. To reveal when Mashiach would arrive was Yaakov's intention. but how would this information be beneficial to his children? Seemingly the opposite is true. They would feel blue if they knew that for a few thousand years, Mashiach's arrival wasn't due. How would a person feel going through the Holocaust, being led to the gas chambers, singing Ani Maamin, and knowing that there's no way that Mashiach could come that day? And the pogroms and the Spanish Inquisition, throughout history, Ani Maamin was on our lips. We always have the belief that Mashiach will come today, and that's what literally has kept us going. So if Yaakov Avinu would say, guess what, guys, Mashiach is coming in the year 5784, how would they feel? Let's give up now. It's not even coming in our lifetime. What's the even point of even trying?
Because I think that we could make it happen sooner.
Ooh,
Right, that's
ooh, excellent.
Well, that's what I've always do.
Yes, yes. Okay, there you go. Okay, so absolutely, we could bring it sooner, but we're gonna try to go with the building of the teaching. So the first question that we ask is, how would this be beneficial to his sons to tell them when Mashiach is gonna come? Okay. Now, before we answer this question, we want to understand what actually happened. What actually happened when Yaakov desired to tell them this news? What actually happened? There's two different opinions. There are two opinions about what did happen when Yaakov wanted to make this revelation. One, from him the knowledge was also hidden. Two, Yaakov just didn't tell his children because the divine presence left him. Okay. So if he has this information about when Mashiach is going to come, when the final days are going to be, he's not just sharing it, doesn't want to just tell it to them just to show off. Hey, guess what, guys? I know something that no one else knows. Obviously, it's for their benefit. So now that we know that it's for their benefit, we want to know what actually happened. Did Yaakov also forget when that date's going to be? Or did he still retain that information, but when he saw the divine presence left, he just didn't tell it to them? And it's going to play, and later on, we're going to see what's the difference and why it matters, because like, who cares? Like, what's the difference? But yeah, it makes a difference. Okay, so if the divine presence left him, what's the word for divine presence in Hebrew? Shechina, right? What does Shechina mean? What is the sheresh of Shechina? Close.
Being.
So Shechina comes from the word, help me out in Hebrew. Shechina means to rest. Right? What's the
Shin Chaf Nun.
Shin Chaf Nun
That's the shoresh.
is the shoresh, and it means to rest, to bring down into this world. So once the Shechina left, Yaakov realized that he shouldn't bring this information down into this world. And it says that the Shechina left. It doesn't say that the information left. It doesn't say that the knowledge left. It just says that the Shechina left. So there's two different interpretations.
Yeah, but wouldn't it mean when the Shekhinah was with him, that means he had Nevuah, and now
Correct.
he didn't know it anymore.
Right, so that's why there's two opinions. One opinion is that the Shechina left and he didn't know it. Another opinion is that the Shechina left. The Shechina left. The permission to bring it down to this world on this plane to his children, that was taken away. That wasn't permitted, but the information was still with him.
Permission, or was it the whole information? How else would he know it?
Exactly. Okay, so that's perfect. So if in the first explanation where it was taken away from him, right, then the permission was taken away and the information was taken away. In the second opinion, the permission was taken away, but the information he still had. Okay. So now we have another question. Who is Yaakov Avinu? Yaakov Avinu is one of the Avos. The Avos, Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, are known to be a markava, a chariot for God. Think of your car. Does your car have a will of its own? Does your car have a will of its own? or does the car go wherever you want it to go? The car doesn't say, oh, hey, I want to go to the mall. You're the one that says you want to go to the mall, and the car is going to obey because the car doesn't have feelings. The car follows wherever the rider takes it, right? So the avos are considered and compared to Hashem's chariot, Hashem's wagon. The avos didn't have a will of their own. Whatever they wanted was for sure automatically Hashem's will. So how could it be that Yaakov wants to share this information of when the end of days is going to come, and then Hashem says, "Oh no, you don't have permission." He would never even have. Where did the desire even come from? He wouldn't have had the desire to share this information if it wasn't Hashem's desire also. So
many times where they wanted one thing, even though they knew what Hashem wanted, they still struggled. Like even with the bracha, if Yaakov wanted to then Shrita, not Yaakov, Rita.
right.
So Aaron is Missiona. If he didn't want to take his son, he did it, but he did have a will.
They did. Okay, so you're saying they did have a will,
And they struggled,
and they struggled.
Most of the time they followed Hashem's will, but
Yeah.
they did struggle, and sometimes
Because
it's not Hashem's will.
that's your other side.
So there's.
Yeah.
Well, okay, this-
But ultimately, did our avos ever not fulfill Hashem's will? They always ended up fulfilling Hashem's will. Well, the struggle, you have a point there.
Well, Yaakov wasn't punished on his level for not, right, for what he did, that he had to.
Well, you're
Well,
saying.
that Yosef was taken away.
Right, for
So-
22 years.
Okay, so all I could say is that everything is relative. Everything is relative. So Moshe Rabbeinu, when Moshe Rabbeinu said to Hashem, Lama hari'os la'am hazeh, why did you do bad to this nation? Why are they suffering? Why are they slaves in Egypt? You know what Hashem said to him? I miss the avos. Because the avos were a markava for me. The avos were a vehicle, they were a chariot. They never questioned me. It was good that Moshe questioned, and we also have to question. And he was he was a Jewish leader that has to question. We're not supposed to take the pain and just say, okay, this is what Hashem says, so we're just gonna handle it. No, we're supposed to say Ad Masay, we're supposed to say the skull has to end, we're supposed to say take away the pain, absolutely. But if you compare Moshe Rabbeinu to the avos, Hashem says the avos never questioned me. So in comparison to everyone else that lived on this earth, they're compared to a chariot. They weren't a piece of plastic or a piece of metal, that doesn't, they obviously had feelings, but ultimately, in comparison to everyone else that lived on this earth, they were closest to a vehicle, which means that their will, once they knew what Hashem's will was, they followed Hashem's will.
So your question is not really a question.
Okay, go ahead.
His desire, he desired until.
So you're saying a very good point. You're saying that Yaakov had a desire to reveal the information, and Hashem had a different desire. And then when Yaakov knew Hashem's desire, then he let go. So that's an interesting take on it. But in this teaching, how it's explained, or how I understood it, was that Yaakov and Hashem were in line with each other. Yaakov desired to give over this information because the truth is that there is a benefit. There is a benefit to giving over this information. And Yaakov and Hashem were on the same page.
Which means that if you wanted to give it over, that alone is a benefit for us. The fact that he even wanted to give it.
Yes. The fact that he wanted to give it over, it says, Bikesh. He requested to give it over. Bikesh is a bakasha, a request. He davened to Hashem, please let me give it over. And Hashem, I know that you also really want to give it over because there's a super great advantage to me giving over the secret. But ultimately, when it came to the actual, when it came to it, Hashem said, you know what? Change of plan. There is another side, and I'm choosing to go another way for another reason. And then when Yaakov realized this, it remained as a bakasha, as a request, as a tefillah, as a prayer, and he didn't give all this information. And we're going to see what is the advantage of telling and what is the advantage of withholding. And why withholding ended up being what actually ended up happening. Withholding the information, it was actually what Hashem chose, and why did Hashem choose this? What is the benefit? Okay. To a chariot who follows its rider, Yaakov does compare. His will was the will of Hashem, it is clear. Revealing and withholding are opposite approaches, it is true, but each one has an advantage for serving HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So because Yaakov was a chariot, revealing the information was not wrong. There was a great legitimacy to it. So revealing and withholding, they're two opposite approaches, but each one has an advantage. Okay. So now if we're going to first talk about the advantage of revealing. What would he have revealed, and what would have been the advantage for his children? Because remember, if you're just going to say that Mashiach is coming in 3,000-4,000 years, that wouldn't really help anyone too much. It would actually cause them to fall into despair. Okay. So the Yidden knew that after 400 years, they would leave Mitzrayim. But Yaakov wanted to reveal to them that it could have been the final redemption. If to be worthy they would strive, even sooner, when they were still alive, the end of days could arrive. Okay. Galus is supposed to be 400 years. When Yaakov passes away, there's still 200 years left until the time when the 400 years are going to be up. So Hashem was very kind. We're going to see that the 400 years, there's different opinions, because at Bris Bein Absarim, Hashem told Adam Avinu that the Galus is going to be for 400 years. So what happened? Because they were actually in Galus for 210 years. And of that time, only 86 of the years was the shibud, was the back-breaking labor. So what happened? Hashem said 400 years, what happened? So there are opinions that say that the 400 years started from Yitzchak's birth or from Yitzchak's time. But in any case, when there's still 200 years left from when Yaakov passes away until the time that the Yidden are going to be free from Egypt. Now, the lifespan at that time was 120 years. So even if you reveal and say, oh, guess what? Mashiach is coming in just 200 years. It doesn't really help me because it's not in my lifetime. I'm going to live to 120. Okay, so what? There's no urgency here. It's not in my lifetime anyway. Why should I sweat? And also the fact that the Jews were going to be redeemed in 400 years, everyone knew that already. So what is he trying? What's he saying? Is he saying information everyone knows? No. That obviously he's letting you know something more than that. My husband explained this to me. He said Yaakov Avinu was on a higher plane. He saw what regular people can't see. He saw the value of Mashiach. He saw the greatness of Mashiach, and he saw that with our work, we could make it come even sooner, and we could make it come even sooner, and even in our lifetime. That's what he wanted to reveal to them. He said to them, but it was dependent. Yaakov, the Geula coming sooner is dependent on them being worthy. The big difference between that and us now is that if we knew most of our worries, why do we worry? We worry because we don't know what the future is going to be, right? If you knew, if Hashem gave you a piece of paper that said, these are your children, and these are the dates that they're going to find their shidduch, these are the dates that they're going to have children, these are the dates that they're, if we just knew the good ending, we'd be in a different place. There would be no worry. When we don't know what's going to be tomorrow or what's going to be the next minute, we're basically walking around like blindfolded people. Touching, like that's the difficult part, that we don't know the unknown. The unknown is what's so difficult. Today, my daughter Rachi, so she was teaching. She goes to seminary in the morning, and in the afternoon she's an assistant for a preschool, a teacher, like 3 and 4 year olds. The school needs, for 1 hour a day, they need someone to teach the 2nd grade. So they basically asked Rachi to do it. She's so nervous. Why? Because she doesn't know what's going to be. Today is the first day. When she comes, will they listen? Will they not listen? Will she be successful? The unknown is literally very, very hard. So here I'll go personal, and I'll say that for 2 years, I have a cyst on my head. And I should have, and I was too scared to do anything about it because I don't know what's going to be. What are they going to do? What is it? 2 years, I have this worry in the back of my head. Ridiculous. I should have asked you. Then, because of this baby, I went to my doctor, and she brought up other things that I should take care of. And I said, well, before I take care of those other things that don't bother me, what about this thing that's on my head for 2 years that So she said, yeah, you should take care of it. So I got home and the insurance company actually called me to ask me how I'm doing after the baby, and could I help you with anything? So I said, I need a number for a dermatologist. They gave me a number, and guess what? It's on Church Road. I could even walk there. That's how close this place is. That I'm worrying for 2 years, and this place is like across the street from Walgreens, whatever. Anyway, so I finally got the courage. I made an appointment. I went on Friday. The nicest lady, it was ridiculous. But the worry, if someone they would just tell me, this is who you have to go to. It's a very nice person. It's a very easy procedure. It's not, you'll be fine. Then but it's the unknown. It's the unknown. Where am I gonna? What kind of doctor do I need? Where is the doctor? Who is it going to be? What's gonna the who, what, where, when, why, how? That's what kills us.
What the conclusion will be.
What will the conclusion be? Exactly. So, but when if you're to know by at this date is when Mashiach is going to come, okay, and you have a meter, you're able to see it all, okay. This date, Mashiach is going to come. Now, every mitzvah that you do can make it come sooner. And you see how your efforts are making the line go less and less and less. Would that motivate you to do more quicker?
Esther, you're good at computers. Maybe you can come up with something.
Okay, on the triple.
Yes.
Yeah.
But the problem is that we don't see, and we don't know, and we have no idea, and all the information is hidden from us, and we don't see that when we do a mitzvah, what it's going to accomplish and how much closer it's bringing the geula. We don't see it. We're grappling in the dark, and that's why it's so hard. That's why it's so hard.
That's the question.
Sure.
So we know we learned in school, there's 6,000 years of older standing.
Yeah.
And we're now 5784.
Yeah.
So we do have an inkling, unless this is something I've learned in school, that X amount of years of older standing. So how does that conflict or answer questions about when Mashiach is coming?
Okay, so excellent question. So Hashem created the world in 6 days and rested on the 7th. So the same is with the world. For 6,000 years, the world is meant to exist, and each day corresponds to another day of the week. And then the 7th millennium, that's Shabbos. And right now we are Friday afternoon, right before Shabbos. And yes, Mashiach's going to come. Mashiach's going to come. The years, once it hits the year 6,000, that's already begins the seventh millennium. That's it. Mashiach's here. But we have to understand that, okay, so at the same time, if we are worthy, Mashiach can come sooner. And there have been times in history where there was just for lack of a better word, there was a energy, a power, a special energy that at that time it was a good time for that Mashiach could have come, an auspicious time. Thank you. An auspicious time, and these times didn't go to waste. For example, one of the dates that tzaddikim suggested might be a time that Mashiach could come. Mashiach didn't actually come, but at that time, Likkutei was printed, which was tons and tons of Hasidus. So the world may have not received the ultimate redemption, but there were auspicious times in history that we were given special things. It was a time of revelation, even if it wasn't the complete. Thank you. Even if it wasn't the complete redemption. So the exodus from Egypt could have been the final redemption, which means they didn't know this. They didn't notice. You see, also, if you know there's going to be redemption, beautiful, but then there's going to be exile again. But if you were Yaakov, one of Yaakov's sons, and you knew that in 200 years, the exile from Egypt could be the final redemption, that means we're going to go straight from Egypt, straight into Israel, no more galus ever. This is going to be the end of days, and we're going to have perfection and all the beautiful things of Geula. And not only that, but you can make it come sooner, and I can even see, there's a chart. I can even see how every mitzvah that I do brings it closer, closer, closer. So we'd be working nonstop to bring Mashiach.
But then it's our normal whatever, so they did the ego.
But what happened?
It's our normal personality, so then they did the ego. Meaning
But-
like this, let's say, I think for us, I think I'm speaking for a lot of people, but I think Corona, everyone thought Mashiach was coming. This is it. It was such a weird situation for us, right? So, and then all of a sudden, people slack off. Our personalities, we tend to slack off, now even. Right now, we feel it. Some people are still doing the Tehillim round the clock. Some people are doing it just on Friday, Shabbos.
Okay, so
We don't have the chart.
okay, we A, don't have a chart, and B, think about it. What's the difference? When something happens, a tsunami, a terrorist attack, whatever it is that makes you run for your book of Tehillim, you know what that's called? It's called an isarusa de la'ela. It's called an inspiration from above. An inspiration from above lasts a little bit, and then it disappears. And then we go back to being our regular self. I'm Chani Garari,
What is it that's provision actually to the inspiration?
Sometimes, absolutely.
It's triggered when God. Yeah, when it's triggered, when something happens, it happens by things that are not in our control and triggered.
Yeah, God is like sending.
Sometimes good, sometimes bad, but.
Right. So yeah, absolutely. Good as well. Good as well. All of a sudden, like, wow. I mean, I was wow. I was like, what? Even that phone, I'm saying, if you look for it, my husband sent my daughter a 59-second clip this morning. We have a WhatsApp group for my my husband and I and my children, the ones that have WhatsApp, because we're all over. And this guy is saying, if I ask you on your way here, how many red cars did you see? You won't know. You weren't looking out for it. But if I tell you on the way home, for every red car that you see, I'm going to give you $100. Will you know how many red cars there were from here to your house? Yes, because you're looking out for it. So I could say, oh, it's random, Verizon, they just happened to call me when I was like, didn't know what I was going to do. And or I could say, wow, thank you, Hashem. Thank you, Hashem. Because the number that my doctor gave me, the insurance didn't take that. The doctor my doctor gave me a number for a dermatologist, actually gave me two numbers, and I called them both, and they said, oh, we don't take your insurance. And now I'm like stuck. And then Horizon calls. I did daven mincha in between, just by the way.
I was listening to something and the person says, there was some giveaway or something like that, and she's like, I never win, so what am I doing, you know? And then she said, wait a second, I do win every single day. I wake up in the morning, my eyes work, my feet work, my hands work. I am a winner.
Absolutely.
And that's it. So it's like what we keep on reminding ourselves.
Yeah, it's your focus. And he also says, if you are, he says, your mind doesn't think in the negative. If I tell you, don't think about an elephant, can your mind not think about an elephant? I just said, don't think about an elephant. You cannot think negative. You could only think do. So if I tell you, if you're skiing and there's a bunch of trees, and I say, you have a choice. Don't look at the trees, don't look at the trees, don't look at the trees. You're going to be in the trees. Or you say, look at the snow, look at the snow, look at the snow. Then you're going to be, you're going to be focusing only on the snow. So yeah, what do you want to see? Do you want to see red cars? Do you want to see snow? You want to see trees? Whatever you're looking for, that's what that's what you're going to find. That's what you're going to bump into. So where was I?
1 second, so why would Yaakov want the desire to give the information?
Ah.
Because I'm assuming, I think, that he knew how the generation and the generations will need that. Maybe they won't be able to get an answer because that's God's fault, and we accept it, but they would still need something in order to. Fine, I'm letting you finish the rest. I have no idea.
Okay. Yaakov had an agenda.
Yeah, okay.
His agenda is get Mashiach here as soon as possible. Hashem had a different agenda. Hashem said, I want them to work. You just tell them when Mashiach is coming, and you tell them that if they work very hard, they could actually make Mashiach come in their lifetime. Boy, are they going to be sweating. Because you gave them the information. It's tantalizing in front of their eyes. It's right there. You don't have to worry about it's all clear cut. You see that what you do, you see the results of it. You see that you could bring it sooner into your lifetime. Then we're running. But that was inspiration from above. Now, if you take that inspiration from above is great, but what happens is, if I take away the inspiration from above, there is no guarantee that you won't fall. Only if we can't see anything and we're grappling in the dark and we choose to pick up a mitzvah here and a mitzvah there, and we motivate ourselves and we change ourselves and we work on ourselves and we schwitz and we don't know what's going to be. If you knew that tomorrow the war in Gaza was over, you'd sleep more peacefully tonight. But when you don't know, will the soldiers come back? Will my relative come back? That and you know what that is? That's trust. That's emunah, bitachon, all those words, right? So there wouldn't be emunah, bitachon wouldn't be necessary if we knew everything. But that we're not in control. Although last week we spoke about control, it was a different kind of control. Yeah. So that when we know that we're in Hashem's hands, and that when we're feeling despair, when we feel in despair, that we think about the greatness of Hashem. We think about that Hashem is the one that can take us out. That is the only one that can get us out of this. That we truly change. That we do inner work. Come on, you're the star of inner work, right? Breath work, whatever it is. Inner when you sweat it out, when it comes from you, not that it came from the sky. When you realize, I want to be a better person, I want to change, I want to give, I want to do. When you do the inner work, that lasts forever. And Hashem preferred that avenue.
Gorgeous.
So Yaakov said, listen, let's give them information. Give them give them a little bit of hope and give them inspiration from above. And then they're going to work really quick, right? And then we'll have Mashiach, and Mashiach will come as soon as possible, right? If you tell your kids, if you clean up, here is the ice cream, right? Or there's two choices. One is tell your kids, if you clean up, I'll give you ice cream. One is you don't say anything. And if they clean up, which is not such a good chance, then you would reward them with ice cream. But wouldn't that be better?
Better in concept, but.
In concept.
No, it's gonna stay there. It's
Right.
gonna
You
walk
see,
with
so
that
that's the
something, so-
question. I'm saying that's basically the two sides. Because chinuch, if I tell you, I'm gonna give you ice cream if you pick up your toys, did I educate? Was your education here?
No.
The toys got picked up, but tomorrow the toys are not going to get picked up. But what does a mother want? A mother would want, okay, in dreamland.
So how do you tell them without giving a prize or
Ah,
anything?
that's a very good question.
Like you just said, oh, all of a sudden the kid's gonna decide that.
So
No, you tell them that whoever takes out the toys has to put back the toys. So you tell them enough times, then they don't always have to get a prize for it. If you tell them enough times,
But
but that's how we do it here.
Right.
Whoever takes
But if a
out the
child would
toys-
feel, I don't know how to get that to happen. I don't know. But if a child would feel that if mommy brought a brand new toy today, and it's all over the floor, if a child would feel, you know what, without being told, let me just pick up the pieces and put it in the box. I mean, if a child thought that,
They only do that as you train them when they're
Well,
younger.
when you reward them for something similar, whatever it is that they did without you telling them, and that's when you praise them.
and that's when you praise them and reward them.
Self-motivation, next time, oh, I had a thought to pick up the toys, mommy gave me this for doing whatever, that small thing, it self-motivates.
Yeah. My daughter Rachi, she says to me, oh, what I need to have. She needs to have two systems, one for good behavior and what's bad behavior. She says to me, why can't teachers just be nice and kids just be good? Simple, but she really meant it. She really meant it. Like, who needs this? What she has that she doesn't want to do the punishment, the warning, and then one warning and then two warnings, and you put sticky notes on the desk, or you don't put sticky notes on the desk, you take away a button, take away a gumball, she doesn't want to take away.
You don't
But-
have to.
but-
You know what you want to tell me? He was like, sometimes I hit in our house and sometimes I hit by Mora, but my Mora helps me. He didn't get punished.
Wow.
She helps me. My Mora helps me. My Mora helps me.
Wow,
Not the
because if I'm hitting, I'm frustrated about
If
something.
he's having a hard time cleaning up, we do it together.
Wow,
Do you get what I mean? Like,
amazing,
I mean, that's
amazing.
3.5.
You hear that, Hashem?
But that's chinuch.
So
That's
that's
chinuch.
why we get inspiration from above. He's like, oh, you're having a hard time? Okay, let me inspire you. I don't know.
But
That's why I was
he
thinking about it.
does, he inspires us with his title. That's the
That's true also.
inspiration.
The truth is that we can't do anything without Hashem's help. We learned this in Tanya. You can't, to be a Beinani, you need Hashem's help, because we have the evil inclination, we have the good inclination. So we need a third party because who should we listen to? We always need Hashem's help to do the right thing. And Hashem doesn't leave us alone. But within Hashem's help, there's two levels. One level is that Hashem is holding my hand throughout, and I feel Hashem. I see the red cars. I'm counting the red cars. I know that Hashem is holding my hand throughout the process. Another level is that I'm not conscious of Hashem helping me. For example, every single day it says that a baskal, a heavenly voice comes out and says different things to inspire my soul. So I don't hear it. I'm saying my physical body doesn't hear it, but it still motivates me on some level to do the right thing. So Hashem is, we're never alone. And Hashem is always with us. Sometimes you see it more clear, sometimes you see it less clear. But ultimately what Hashem wants is that that from our own kishkis that we on our own, even though it's dark, and even though we can't see anything, and even though we don't, everything's hidden from us, and even though we don't know what tomorrow is going to bring, and even though we worry sick from because we don't know the future. If someone who's looking for a shidduch, right? They're so worried, will I ever find the right one? But if you knew that on this date you would find the right one, you'd be calm. You sit there back, relax. I don't have to worry. We'll come. It's true. It might not be tomorrow, but but you, as soon as you know the knowledge calms everybody down.
But not always is gonna have the ending too.
You know
My
what? Even if
brother
it's
was married for 20 years,
Oh my
if he got
gosh.
his timeline beforehand, he would see that. How devastating could that be? It's like knowing the Mashiach is only coming after we die.
so if the news is so first of all, the way it works with Hashem is that even if there is a decree, even if there is a gezerah,
It's all for the
It's-
good and it's all.
no, we could always. We are not limited. We are not limited by what we're not. A Jew is above. Like if there's a decree that someone can't have children, there's it can change. Our mazel could change, so things could come sooner. Just like Mashiach, we have the ability to bring it sooner. So 20 years, that's very, very difficult to even imagine. But I'm saying it's someone who is dealing with infertility, and they're going through what they're going through. If they did know a date, not in 20 years, but if they did know a date in a reasonable time frame, then they would be more calm. They wouldn't. The stress of it would be much less.
And then maybe people won't have kids, or people will stay single for a long time, or I was single for 30 years. That's really what it is. We don't know. And different people's gezerahs, special needs.
We really don't know.
They want 8 kids and they have 2 kids.
So I'm starting to think we're blessed that we don't know, because it's not always, okay. I'll leave it at that.
No, that's interesting. That's an interesting perspective. Sometimes it could be a blessing.
That the person who like I have friends who are still not married, but I didn't give up, right? So Hashem sent me somebody, but he still didn't send them. So if they knew that they were never gonna get married, like she said, they were like, okay, this is gonna be my life. Will they be content? I don't know.
So
certain things you could be content with. You could be content with having 2 kids and not 8 kids. But can you be content knowing that you're never gonna have kids? So you keep on trying, you do
And
other
davening.
things.
right.
You daven, you do other things, you adopt, and then at some point, maybe you do say, the Bona Olam person opened up Bona Olam because he knew that that was his gezerah, or whatever you wanna call it, was a combination. Because it was a gezerah that turned into a bracha.
It's an organization. Explain what
Oh,
Bona
Bona Olam is a fertility organization. That they help people, they raise funds and then they help people, have kids.
And the founders never had children.
The founders never had it yet?
No.
Okay.
And he didn't adopt either.
He adopted, yes.
He did adopt?
He adopted, she got married, it didn't
Oh,
work
wow.
well.
Oh. And then you have people who right away knew that they weren't having kids after 3 years, like the Brooks. And they adopted 5 kids from different walks of life. And
And also, that's not for everyone.
It's not for everyone.
So let's just put, if we're making a chart, okay? So on one side of the spectrum, which is Yaakov's view or will, okay, or one. So there's two ways to go. What Yaakov's initial will was, let's know when Mashiach's going to come. Let's have the help from above. Let's know the dates, right? But there is a disadvantage. Because the disadvantage is if a person was to know that there's a gezerah that for 20 years they're not going to have children, God forbid, right? Then they won't even bother davening.
That's us being in control. Like I was just telling my husband, I like to know because it makes me feel in control.
We want to
Literally.
control. Exactly.
It is, like you're saying, that we're not doing connect.
We
When
wanna-
you ask Hashem, I need this, or whatever. Or if
Right.
you're looking for your kids. So between the older person davening for themselves, the parents davening for their children.
So Hashem is a genius. Hashem said, I'm going to choose something else. Yes, Mashiach will come sooner if you motivate them, but Hashem has another plan. If they don't know, then they have the hope. And they did sing Ani Mamin. And Mashiach could have come sooner. He could have. So it wasn't just singing Ani Mamin for nothing. They really believed in that, and we're gonna, it's a very important point, that their Mesiras Nefesh brought Mashiach so much closer. It wasn't for nothing, their sacrifices. But the fact that we don't know ends up at the finish line, we end up in a much better place. We're stronger, we have the faith, we worked on ourselves, we became the best that we could be.
Been having a subject in my house with the Mashiach when he's coming, and my son's not married. And every time, I ask him to do something, and he's like, Mom, don't worry, Mashiach's coming. Ever since what happened with Israel, he's convinced Mashiach is coming.
Absolutely.
He's coming. And every time I'm talking to him and I want to do certain things, like, Daniel, I was thinking, I want to do a little procedure with that. Mom, Mashiach is coming. She's coming this year. He goes, yes. He said, go build a mitzvah and get married.
That's so cute. So he should be blessed to find a shidduch in an easy and clear way right away. Yeah.
The subject ever since what's going on in Israel, my house, with Mashiach and.
You're right, it's so motivating.
Trying to do extra.
It's crossing the moon, it
Yeah,
very
yeah.
much is. Yeah, but it doesn't motivate, like you said. You
Yeah.
shouldn't do anything.
No, this goes all the way back to Uda Machado. Yeah, that father belonged to us, sweat. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Sometimes I'm not so happy with it.
Yeah, why, Mama?
When
So
we're
the-
going through Gehenna,
yeah. So he's bringing up that this goes all the way up back to Adam and Chava. According to Chassidus, when Chava ate from the tree and gave to Adam to eat, she made a choice. She said it could have been, if we wouldn't have eaten from the tree, we would have been in paradise and we wouldn't have had this world the way it is now. But she purposely ate and purposely gave to Adam to eat because she knew that for her children, this was ultimately Hashem's desire, that we should do the work.
But wasn't the snake invented? Snake invented.
Yeah, so that's the pshat, and then there's the different levels. Okay, I'm going to try to catch up with this poem just to see what I missed out, because there's still a couple of treasures. Okay, the Yidden knew that after 400 years they would leave Mitzrayim, but Yaakov wanted to reveal to them that it could have been the final redemption. If to be worthy they would strive, even sooner when they were still alive, the end of days could arrive. Sorry, I read that already. Okay. We know that this is true. This concept that Mashiach will come sooner, we know that it's true. How do we know this? We know that this is true because although Hashem told Avraham Avinu that for 400 years the Galus would be, it was shortened to 210 years because of the severity of the slavery. So one opinion holds that why was the Galus only 210 years and not 400 years? Because the slavery was so intense, it shortened the amount of time that they had to be there. Think of an example. What kind of an example could you think of? Okay, so if you want to talk about the Holocaust, not all days are equal. If there's a time in history that is very, very difficult or very, very painful, or that where Jews are really suffering, that takes, we're not asking for that, God forbid, but I'm saying that those years, it's called Chavlei Mashiach or whatever it is, those years condense the amount of time they have to be in Galus, because those minutes of pain, when it's concentrated, it's concentrated, so then then it takes up less time.
It's like a
Orange
contraction
juice.
when you're giving birth,
Ah.
it shortens the time that would normally, it makes it happen faster. Every contraction makes it happen.
There you go. Every contraction makes the birth happen faster. And also just think of orange juice, right? If you buy concentrate orange juice and if you want to schlep home, you have a lot of groceries to now, which have a car. But when we're living in Brooklyn, if it's less weight, right? If you, instead of shopping a whole orange juice, concentrate orange juice, it's less to carry, right? So when the pain is concentrated, then the years become less. So we know that already because Hashem said 400 years and only ended up being 210. Thank God. So much more so it is understood that an increase in deeds that are good could surely lead to the redemption coming with greater speed. So very simple. If you're driving down the highway at 100 miles an hour, you're going to get there faster. I mean, if you don't get caught by a cop, right? So for sure, if we increase in good deeds, then obviously Mashiach is going to come sooner. For the Yidden to be redeemed as soon as possible was Yaakov's intention, but Hashem had a different consideration. Although Hashem helps us and we are never alone, Hashem values the efforts that we initiate on our own. And why is this necessary? Okay, so we just spoke about this. In order for the Geula to last forever, we need inspiration from below to permanently change our nature. We want a Geula that they'll be forever, that there won't be another Galus after it. So if we want that kind of Geula, then we have to do that kind of work. It has to be a work that's permanent, that's long-lasting. That's not just a fleeting inspiration from above that's going to go away tomorrow. The prize has to match the effort. If we do work that's long-lasting, that's forever work, then we're going to get Mashiach that's forever.
That's huge.
Yeah.
In my mind, I'm thinking, how do we get from here? We have the potential to be that. How do we get from potential to reality? Like to make it, wow, what is it going to take? What is it going to take? I had a very hard time changing who I am.
But that's why.
In the past 5 years for sure.
Yes, it's just, we want Mashiach here today. How are we going to get there today?
The way we get there today, we're going to learn this at the end, it's with one turn, with one step. Thank you so much for coming. The end of the teaching, the Rebbe says that we already passed all the kitzim. We already passed all those auspicious times. And all that's left for us to do is teshuvah. And teshuvah could happen in 1 hour. And he says with one turn, teshuvah means to turn, just like that. That could bring Mashiach. When we're in the dumps and when we don't see, and when we're confused, and when we're worried, and we feel like we're no good, and we feel like we're whatever, worthless, God forbid. But when you're in the dumps, and you're able, and not that some, the heavens opened up and poured money down on you, but you from your innermost core, you're able to talk to Hashem. That's what we're talking about. It's one word. It's realizing Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad. It's giving up, relinquishing the control. It's one thing. It's one turn. It's saying Hashem, I love you. It's saying Hashem, I trust you. Hashem, I know that you're doing the best thing for me. I know that there's a bigger picture here. That's what it means. That's what it means. But if we were to see how close Mashiach really is, if we were to know that by tonight, Mashiach was here, we would, if we were to put on the WhatsApp, guess what? The entire Tom's River, Mashiach is coming tonight. The entire Tom's River will come to the class, right? They would drop everything and come running, right? But we don't see how close it is, and that's why we're having such a hard time.
I have an idea.
Go for it.
How to inspire us. everybody bring out your tambourines and leave it by the door, by your entrance, so that we can, when
Absolutely.
Mashiach comes, we're gonna need our tambourines.
So you're kind of cute, and I think it's a cute idea, right?
I gave out
And
tambourines.
then my niece took the kids to Israel, I think 2 years ago, and then they actually painted tambourines, and then now when the war happened, I go, where are those tambourines, you know? It's all a good idea, but each person
Inspires.
has to be inspired by themselves, like,
Exactly.
we go to this class and how many people go to other classes, and how many people listen to other things. So even if you think, oh, I can't change and I like myself the way I am, we are changing on a day-to-day situation.
And just seeing a tambourine, even seeing someone else's tambourine. If you hang a tambourine by your in a room in your house where people go through, it reminds you. And the Rebbe says, when we say we want Mashiach now, or Atat Kunt Mashiach, it reminds people. We should say it. We should say it to remind ourselves, to remind our children, to remind everybody. Hey, you know what, guys? This is something real. It's something real, and it's something that we could. If the Shvatim, if the potential was there for it to come in their lifetime, how much more so is the potential for it to come in our lifetime? And just by coming to this class, and just by thinking about this a little bit, if it encourages us to do one more mitzvah, if it encourages us to smile at someone today, or to be, you know, then we're winners. We're absolute winners. But we have to realize that, guess what? It's really, really, really so super close. And if we would know how close it is, we would kick ourselves. We would kick ourselves, because when the war started, we were all going crazy, whatever. And then as the days go by, we're like, you know, a little bit less motivated. But if you knew that it was going to be today, then all of a sudden we would wake up and we would be like, you know, full force. So could you imagine if, I'll tell you, whatever, I'll just give you this example. Imagine if we hung on just for one more second. When you feel like you're about to fall and you just, you know, so here's another story that they tell. It could be humorous, but it's not so humorous. I don't know if it's actually happened or if it's a parable, but there was some poor people, some poor beggars, and they were very, very hungry, and they were traveling from place to place, and they come to this Jewish town, and they were told that tonight is the Passover Seder. So, and everyone invites guests for the Passover Seder. So if you get invited to a Jewish person's house for the Seder, you have nothing to worry about. You're gonna have a wonderful meal. You'll be fine. So this one beggar, he was very ignorant. He didn't know much. He gets invited to someone's house for the Pesach Seder, and he comes, and everyone sits down. Beautiful tablecloth, candles, everything. So they have kaddish, they have wine, wonderful. Then there's orchatz. They wash their hands. Then there's an onion. And then they break a matzah, but they hide it. No one's eating it. And then they talk. They're reading for hours. They wash their hands again, and then they give you maror. At this point, the beggar is done. He's like, that guy must have lied to me. I came here, I got an onion, and I got lettuce and bitter herbs. That's it. Who knows what's coming next? I'm leaving. And he runs to whatever shelter there is. Then a couple hours later, the other beggar comes. Oh, it's such a good meal. He says, what do you mean? I ran out of there after maror. He says, you're such a fool. If you would have waited one more minute, you would have had fish and soup and steak and what's it called? Okay, it just slipped my mind. Yeah, a certain roast my husband always makes for Pesach. Yeah, so anyway, you would have had no brisket, thank you. So we make brisket for Pesach. My husband makes it easier for me. He says, forget it, instead of cleaning chicken for when I was having people, just do brisket. So yes, a brisket. You have briskets with potatoes and carrots and simmis and who knows what and matzah galore. You would be stuffed, but he left 1 second too early. So that's where we are right now. We're by the Murrah. Boys in Murrah. Boys in Murrah. But what's coming next? What's coming next? We're right there. We're right there. You know, so the woman's giving birth, and the most painful moment is right before birth, and you're like, you know, God help me, I can't do this. But that's when the birth happens. So we're so close. It's just that we don't see it. We don't see the finish line. And that's why we get the inspiration from above, and then we slow down. Inspiration from above, and then we slow down. But we have to just hold on because it's right there. And if we knew that it's dependent on us, we learned in a different teaching. We learned in a different teaching that we can't just sit back and relax and say, oh, let someone else do it. I'll just sit and wait. Someone else will do it. But rather, each and every one of us has a mission. We each have a part of the world that we have to elevate. There's a spark that we have to reveal and possess and own, which is what last week's teaching. So if each and every one of us did one move, we'd be there. We just have to believe it, believe in ourselves, believe in Hashem, and we'll get there. And then we're gonna say, oh, remember that class? You know, it was all true. Okay, let me just see if I finished or not.
So we have like 3 or 4 more paragraphs.
Okay. Okay. Since Yaakov reached a state of perfection, and on his own he was refined, he thought that his sons were on his level in his mind. Therefore, he had a desire to share that the potential for Geula was so near. So why did Yaakov share it? Why did Yaakov want to share it? Because he was on such a great level that he saw everything. He was already reached perfection. We have to still, do our work. But Yaakov already, because he's already passing away now. But throughout his entire life, he did the work. He worked on himself. He changed himself. He did the work that we need to do. He did it. He was already there.
How would you have felt to say, look, you have 86 years of terrible times, and then you're gonna, and then the Inquisition, and then the Holocaust. When you tell people how bad things are gonna be, they can't even see that there's gonna be good at the end of the tunnel. Like this, at least we don't know the bad, and bad happened. Like I was reading somewhere, or heard someone, I don't know, must have been going around, that in 1931, one of the Rabbanim wrote that people think Berlin is Yerushalayim. That's how they were, you would spit out of every country, 100 years, 200 years. Oh, and that Reb Aaron Cutler came to America and started a kollel, and Yehuda went to Goshen to start. So why do you have to start a kollel? Like, there's no Jews, there's no whatever, because that's what you need. You need Torah in every single place because of that. So if we knew how terrible things were, would we say, oh yeah, the Holocaust, we know some people are gonna die, but Hashem's really gonna help us out? If you're gonna be the people who are starving or are burning.
Right, no, so if
that.
So if we were to know that, it would come with the knowledge that we could bring it sooner. It wasn't just, terrible times. It was the knowledge that it was the knowledge that this is the, this is the end of days, but you could bring it so much sooner. But we had that vision. But Yaakov, he already reached the perfection that we need to reach. He already reached it, and he thought that his sons were on his level. Right. So therefore, he said, "Oh, the inner work, he already did," and he thought that his kids already did it. That's why he even thought about sharing it. But when he finds and when the Shechina departs from him, he realizes that his kids aren't on his level, and all of a sudden he got worried. And it says in the pasuk, he says, "Oh, maybe not all my children. Maybe there's like a flaw in my children, because Yaakov was the only one that mitase shlema, that all of his children were good." But he said, "Oh, maybe there's a flaw in my children, that maybe there's something wrong with them because they're not on my level, that they didn't reach the inner perfection that Yaakov had reached."
But look what happened. They sold Yosef. So personality.
But ultimately, you're so welcome. Ultimately, they did teshuvah. Ultimately, they did teshuvah. We have that in the last parsha, that when they were faced with the same test again, When Yosef wanted to keep Binyamin, then they fought. So that they rectified that. So yeah, and they still had more work to do, and that's why ultimately the Shekhinah departed, and they weren't giving that information. But that just answers the question of why you even thought of telling them.
But that's a lesson for us also. We should, all of us, think very, very highly of our children.
Yes. Yes,
It
yes,
helps them.
yes. Oh
When we
boy.
do, it helps them.
Absolutely.
I'm learning.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's a whole lesson for itself.
Yeah.
Okay. But according to the first opinion, also from him, the information was hidden. So that he could show his children how to serve Hashem without knowing the date of Mashiach's coming. So the first opinion was that the information was taken away from Yaakov also. Why? So he should see it from their eyes. So he should be able to help them achieve the Geula to even without knowing. According to the second opinion, from him the information was not hidden because he already possessed the virtue of the avodah that his children would have to go through. He already possessed it. That's why it wasn't taken away from him, because he already did the work. The lesson for you and me is that we must desire and ask for Mashiach to come speedily. All that is necessary is one turn, and then Mashiach we will earn.
By the way.
Amen. It should be right now.
Amen.